Martin Luther King Jr. was one of the most significant and transformative figures in American history, whose unwavering commitment to justice, equality, and nonviolence profoundly shaped the civil rights movement and inspired millions around the world. Born on January 15, 1929, in Atlanta, Georgia, he was the second child of Reverend Martin Luther King Sr. and Alberta Williams King. Growing up in a segregated society, King witnessed firsthand the devastating effects of racial discrimination, which deeply influenced his desire to challenge systemic injustice. He attended Booker T. Washington High School, where he excelled academically and skipped 2 grades, entering Morehouse College at just 15 years old. At Morehouse, he was mentored by the college president, Dr. Benjamin Mays, who instilled in him the belief that Christianity could be a powerful force for social justice. After graduating with a degree in sociology in 1948, King attended Crozer Theological Seminary in Pennsylvania, where he was elected student body president and emerged as a strong public speaker. He went on to earn a doctorate in systematic theology from Boston University in 1955, where he met and married Coretta Scott, who became a steadfast partner in his work for civil rights. King's leadership in the struggle for equality began in earnest during the Montgomery Bus Boycott of 1955 to 1956, a pivotal event sparked by Rosa Parks' arrest for refusing to give up her seat to a white passenger. At just 26 years old, King was chosen to lead the boycott as president of the newly formed Montgomery Improvement Association. His powerful oratory, unwavering faith, and belief in nonviolent resistance inspired thousands to endure economic hardship and intimidation as they refused to use the city's segregated buses for over a year. The boycott ultimately resulted in a landmark Supreme Court decision declaring segregation on public buses unconstitutional, catapulting King to national prominence. In 1957, King helped establish the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, SCLC, an organization dedicated to coordinating nonviolent protests against racial inequality. He traveled extensively across the country, delivering speeches, organizing marches, and galvanizing support for the civil rights movement while emphasizing the principles of love and nonviolent resistance, which were heavily influenced by the teachings of Mahatma Gandhi. King's most famous moment came on August 28, 1963, during the historic March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom, where over 250,000 people gathered on the National Mall. Standing on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial, King delivered his iconic "I Have a Dream" speech, in which he eloquently articulated his vision of a racially integrated and just society. His words, "I have a dream that one day my 4 little children will live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin but by the content of their character," resonated deeply and became a defining moment of the civil rights movement. King's leadership and advocacy played a critical role in the passage of transformative legislation, including the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which outlawed segregation in public spaces and employment discrimination, and the Voting Rights Act of 1965, which protected African Americans' right to vote by eliminating discriminatory practices like literacy tests and poll taxes. Despite his successes, King faced relentless opposition throughout his life. He was arrested nearly 30 times, harassed by authorities, and targeted by violent attacks, including the bombing of his home. Nevertheless, he remained resolute, responding to hate and injustice with courage, love, and faith. In 1963, while imprisoned in Birmingham, Alabama, for participating in nonviolent protests, King penned the influential "Letter from Birmingham Jail," a powerful defense of civil disobedience that called on white moderates and clergy to take a stand against racial injustice. In his later years, King expanded his focus to address broader issues, including economic inequality, poverty, and the Vietnam War, which he denounced as immoral and destructive. He believed that true justice could not be achieved without addressing the interconnected struggles of race, class, and war, and he increasingly spoke out about the need for systemic change. In April 1968, King traveled to Memphis, Tennessee, to support striking sanitation workers who were fighting for better wages and working conditions. On the evening of April 4, 1968, while standing on the balcony of the Lorraine Motel, he was tragically assassinated by James Earl Ray. King's death sent shockwaves across the globe, sparking riots in cities across the United States and an outpouring of grief from people of all races and backgrounds. Though his life was cut short at the age of 39, his legacy endured as a beacon of hope, resilience, and the transformative power of nonviolent resistance. Martin Luther King Jr. left behind a monumental legacy that continues to inspire generations to fight for justice, equality, and human rights. His contributions to the civil rights movement not only transformed American society but also made him a global symbol of moral leadership and peaceful resistance. Today, his memory is honored each year on Martin Luther King Jr. Day, a federal holiday in the United States that celebrates his life and achievements. Streets, schools, and monuments across the world bear his name, and his words continue to serve as a rallying cry for those working to create a more just and equitable world. Martin Luther King Jr. remains an enduring symbol of the power of compassion, courage, and perseverance in the face of injustice.